An example of a surprise is your boss telling you that you're very, very behind your schedule, you're behind your deadline, the pressure that you experience at work. No matter how noisy the world gets,
No matter how loud the world gets,
our goal is simple: influence
empower,
and activate.
you can always
be louder. Be louder. Welcome to another episode of the Louder Podcast. It's me, Josh Vasquez, aka The Josh. Topic for today is how optimism helps entrepreneurs succeed. Yan ang topic natin ngayon. No? That's the letter O from the Louder values, Louder. Yan yung values ng voice box, which is louder. Last episode, I talked about limitless potential. Pinag-usapan natin kung paano natin ma-harness yung limitless potential natin and how we can use that in our daily lives. Today, we're going to talk about the second value, and this is something that's really, for me, it's really important. Like all the 6 values are important, but this one is one of those things that a lot of people find hard to do. No, parang they find this hard to do. They find this value a bit unrealistic. Iniisip nila that this is something for people who are just crazy, mga baliw, but I don't think so. Letter O, optimism. Ano ba ibig sabihin nito, no? When you hear the word optimism, most people actually connotate this word with positive thinking. And ikaw, if you're listening to me right now and you are an entrepreneur or maybe a millennial, a Gen Z, a student, whatever it is that you're doing, I know that somewhere along the line of your life, maybe somewhere along your browsing in social media, looking at, Facebook Reels or Instagram Reels, stories and everything, you probably have heard a lot of people talk about positive thinking. Tama, right? Like you hear people say, hey, it's just about thinking positively. You gotta think positive. Now, positive thinking, yeah, that's good and all, but there's actually something better than positive thinking, and that is optimism. Optimism, right? A very beautiful word. We're gonna talk about the difference of optimism, and I'm gonna share to you why optimism is something that you need to have. And I'm gonna leave this podcast by encouraging you to see the brighter side of life every single day, every single second, every single minute, every single hour. I'm gonna encourage you to not just look at the negativities of life, but to try to look at something better, something more productive, something that actually adds value overall sa buhay mo. Now, entrepreneurs, we share a lot of common traits. We want to be our own boss, diba? Lalo na ngayon, yung mga Gen Z, mga millennials, like, we want to be entrepreneurs. All of us, we just want to be, we want to be our own boss. We like the sound of just running your own business without even understanding how stressful this is. Now, if you are within the age of 23 to 30 or maybe until 40 years old, no? If you are within that bracket, I think 30 to 35, sorry, right? So like if you're between 23 to 35 or 25 to 35, you're gonna relate to this. When I was younger, I used to think that when you are 25 years old, you have everything figured out already. Inisip ko na when you are in your 20s, you are considered a full-fledged adult. Kumbaga, I'm an adult by the time that I am this age, and I can handle life already. But when I actually entered that timeline, when I actually entered that age, I realized that it is far from reality. I realized that life is not as easy as it seemed. I realized na sobrang dami ko palang kailangang pagdaanan, and I know that you understand what I'm talking about. I know that ikaw bilang isang millennial, bilang isang Gen Z, I know that you know that life is not a bed of roses. I know that you know that life is filled with surprises, and not all of these surprises are good. We used to think that surprises are great when we were kids. Like, hey, I want to be surprised in my birthday, but now we are afraid of the surprises that life brings. Paano ba naman? I'll give you an example of a surprise. An example of a surprise is your boss telling you that you're very, very behind your schedule, you're behind your deadline, the pressure that you experience at work, that's a surprise, right? Or how about suddenly getting that, hoping for that promotion. You've always wanted that promotion, but seeing your friend get it instead of you. That's a surprise. Yung kaibigan mo na hindi naman nagtatrabaho, pero ikaw sobrang mong pinaghirapan, but still yung ine-expect mo na makuha mo, nakuha ng ibang tao. And that's a surprise. That's something scary. Or maybe your family members, right? Maybe your family members going through a challenge that you did not expect was going to happen. Ang ending, instead of you having the time for yourself, you had to take care of them instead of taking care of you. It's tough. Like, life is not as easy as how we thought it would be when we were younger. Diba? Totoo naman yun eh. Like, I thought life was gonna be, man, when I'm this age, I'll be great. I'll be amazing. Yeah, but as we aged, we realized that it's filled with a lot of surprises. And most of these surprises actually challenge us, test us. And ikaw, if you're the type of person who's, listening and you're an ambitious person, you want more in life. That's why you're listening to this podcast. Kaya kayo nakikinig because you know that you can do more. Alam mo yan. Yet somehow, the idea of continuing in life, sometimes it gives you goosebumps because all you want to do is just lie down, rest, and relax and forget about all the responsibilities that you have. Hey, listen to me right now. If you're listening to me, I want you to know I understand you. I know life's not easy. I know life can be tough. I know there are things in your life that no one else knows, but you are fighting battles silently. Tinatawag nating silent battles. I know that. I know you're going through situations that if you told people, you're afraid of the outcome. Kaya tinatago mo sa sarili mo because you don't want to involve anyone else. I want to share to you how this powerful value, this powerful quality of a person can actually save you from experiencing more pain in your life. And itong value na to, it's the word optimism. This quality of being optimistic in your life. And I'm not here to talk about positive thinking. I'm going to give you a few points. Number one, the reason why successful people are highly successful is because they understand the power of looking forward. They understand that yes, malayo pa, pero malayo na din. Ikaw din yun eh. Minsan you stress yourself too much. You try to put yourself down too much because you're always trying to tell yourself that, oh, you know what? I'm so far from where I'm supposed to be. But you forget to acknowledge that you may be far from where you're supposed to be. Oh boy, but you're far from where you started. Malayo pa, pero malayo na din. Malayo na din yung everything mo. Dami mo nang nagawa. Ang dami mo nang na-achieve. Ang dami mo nang na-accomplish. So don't you dare tell yourself that you're useless. Don't you dare tell yourself that you're not good enough. Remind yourself of what you have accomplished. Remind yourself of your wins every day. Here's why successful people stay successful. Number one, they understand that optimism is more than positive thinking. In NYU, which is New York University, there's a professor there, a professor of psychology. Her name is Gabrielle Ottingen. Sabi niya, optimism, and I'm reading it here, optimism goes deeper than positive thinking. She actually explains that optimism is defined by an expectancy. It's defined, ito yung definition ng optimism, it's defined by an expectancy that you will be able to accomplish certain things. What she calls expectancy judgments are based on past experiences, meaning that optimism takes some effort but carries great rewards. Optimism helps entrepreneurs succeed because it means that they are more likely to invest, act, and put effort into achieving what they want to get done. And I'm not just here to talk about entrepreneurs. I'm not just here to talk about negosyantes or yung mga business owner. I'm also talking to you. I'm talking to you who's an employee right now. You can be great even at your position right now. You can be great even at your current state. Not everyone has to be an entrepreneur. You don't need to be an entrepreneur to be successful. You can be successful where you are, but you need to understand there's a potential that you need to fill. But you can't fill that potential if you don't have optimism in your life. Alam mo kung bakit? Because the opposite of optimism is pessimism. You're pessimist. You're a pessimist about life. You always think about the negative what if. Lagi mong iniisip, what if something bad happens? But let me ask you this, what if something good happens out of that action that you're creating right now? Stop thinking of what can go wrong and start deciding that you choose to think of what can go right in your life. When people have expectancy judgment, bakit pa sinasabi na expectancy judgment? Because you're trying to expect, man, based on what happened to you in your life before, based on the things that you experienced in your life. Now you got that that bias in your head. There's that bit of bias saying na, oh, hindi mo nga nagawa dati yun. You're not gonna be able to do it again. If you failed last time, you're gonna fail again. But what if you change and reframe that and tell yourself, if I failed last time, that means I have another chance to win again? What if you start reframing the situations in your life and tell yourself that you can do more, that there is more, there is something beyond what you can ever think of or imagine? What if you realize that there is a greater plan for you, that there is a plan that God has in your life that's telling you, my son, my child, my daughter, just try again. Try again. Maybe the no was not a no for you. Maybe the no was a wait because there's a greater opportunity that's in line for you. Don't just settle for less. Don't settle for saying na okay na to, pwede na to. No! At the end of the day, you are destined for more. You are destined for more. You are destined for more. I'm telling you that right now. So think about that. How has this affected you? I want to give you a few things. How can optimism help you in your life? When you're optimistic, you think creatively. My mentor, Grant Cardone, he says that where there is commitment, there is creativity. If you are committed, the reason why you're committed is because you understand that there's something that can happen. Something good can actually happen in your life. When you start to create those expectations. You know, we used to sing this in church, no? Sabi namin sa church, the atmosphere of expectation is the breeding ground for miracles. The atmosphere of expectation. The atmosphere of expectation is the breeding ground for miracles. Oh boy. Man, I promise you, greater things are happening. Greater things are happening in your life today. You're listening to me right now. I want you to expect for something great to happen in your life. See, the difference between optimism and positive thinking is just trying to think that everything is okay. Nabaril ka na and you're saying, no, I'm still alive. But optimism is when you get shot, you look at your wound and you say, I got shot. But I think I can still go to the hospital. Diba? Nabaril ka? Then look for a solution. Go to the hospital and get that bullet outside your body. Positivity becomes toxic when you try to imagine that everything is okay, even though there's straight chaos happening in front of you. Pero optimism happens because you know there's something you can do about it. It comes from creative thinking. It comes from you knowing that you can do more in life, that there is a next level for what you're experiencing. So I challenge you today. No, I challenge you. When you think of challenges, problems in your life, do you just think that it's the failure na parang, oh man, it's a bad thing that happened in my life. I'm dead. Hanggang dito na lang. Are you that type of person who builds a habit of looking for wrong things, looking for the worst things? Or maybe you want to start creating the habit of looking at the bright side of things, understanding that your failed efforts equals learning. Failed effort equals learning. Thomas Edison. I didn't fail 1,000 times. I just learned 1,000 ways. Or maybe that's 10,000. I forget. I learned thousands of ways on how not to make a light bulb. Look at the bright side. Look masyadong negative. But when you choose to be positive, choose to be optimistic, which means, acknowledge that there's a problem, but also acknowledge that where there's a problem, there's a solution. I'll say that again. Where there's a problem, there's a solution. I believe you're going to be successful in your life. You're not going to leave this world without achieving the goals that you want in your life. You're not going to leave this world without achieving whatever it is that you want to achieve. Naniniwala ako dyan. Naniniwala ako na maaabot mo yung gusto mong abutin if you just focus on your goals. You put God first. All of the time, that's the secret to success, man. Put God first. If you do that, you're going to see things come to life. I'm proud of you. Don't stop, okay? No matter what happens, you're gonna keep going, all right? Letter O, optimistic. Hey, I'll wait for you in the next episode. Thanks for listening. That's another episode of the Louder Podcast, brought to you by myself, Josh Vasquez. Call me The Josh. If you enjoy this podcast, don't forget to like, share, and follow, and do whatever it takes to get and listen to our next podcast. Thank you so much for listening. God bless you. I'll see you next time. Thanks. No matter how noisy the world gets,
No matter how loud the world gets,
our goal is simple. Influence
Empower.
and activate.
You can always
be louder.